What up, YouTube? It's your boy FANGOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOO Lock in, my boys. Back with another one, Behind the Jersey, episode 2, featuring none other than the Bushwick bully, the Brooklyn big dog, Lenny Cooke, aka the Cookie Monster. Yes, many of y'all seen the infamous documentary on Lenny Cooke where they followed Lenny's life story for a span of 10 years. But they did leave a lot of details out, and for those that want the real official Lenny Cooke doc for the culture, you gotta rock with your boy FANGOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOO do what you do. Let's fess up these views and let's get to it. Bow. Now, young Lenny, born in Atlantic City, New Jersey on April 29th, 1982. He was the oldest of his 3 siblings. His family grew up in the trenches of Atlantic City, YouTube. His mom was a blackjack dealer at the Trump Taj Mahal, and his father was in the streets at one point in time. In a recent Kitchen Talk interview with Brooklyn rapper Mano, shout out Mano, Lenny hinted at the fact that his father was in the streets running around with the legendary Atlantic City kingpin Midget Molly. Shout out that boy Technos TV. Got an episode featuring Midget Molly. Go tune in. Pow! But yes, the block got hot for Lenny's family because of his father. His father was moving and possibly booming, so the family had to pack up their things and they had to leave. They had to do the race and move to Queens for a brief period of time before they eventually would land in Bushwick. It was in Bushwick where Lenny would discover his love for basketball and his life would change forever. Lenny lived in a small apartment in Bushwick on Knickerbocker and Decatur, and Cooke's parents struggled to find employment in Bushwick. His family lived in poor conditions and oftentimes utilities were a luxury. The Cooke family grew up on the 2nd floor in a very worn down, decrepit building, and Lenny grew up listening to large rats running through the walls. The floors in the units had large holes where they had to cover it with rugs. He had many cold Brooklyn nights where his family would depend on the heat from the oven or a pot of boiled water just to provide warmth for his family. You know what I'm saying? It was rough, it was tough. And Lenny also would get into fights, neighborhood fights after school, and that's when he first began developing his crew, his squad, his gang. Yes, and it was around his teenage years where Lenny would meet his right-hand man, his ace boon coon, Damani Eastman. Damani was Lenny's day one, so Damani and Lenny would hoop in the playground every day, playing pickup basketball, going to Fulton Mall, meeting the Trishas, laying and spraying, everything moving in Brooklyn, everything moving in Queens. Yes, at this time Lenny is attending Franklin K. Lane. This is the same high school that the legendary mob boss John Gotti attended, and the school was forced to close in 2012 because it was just too wild. Yes, so Lenny was at this school averaging 20 points and 10 rebounds when he played for their team. But he was not doing no schoolwork, he was not doing no homework, and around this time he would also meet an AAU coach at a playground who would invite Lenny and Damani to an AAU tryout where they would eventually make the team. And this team would help Lenny's game rise to a whole nother level, giving him opportunities to travel and play some of the top talent around the country. Playing AAU is where he would befriend a teammate and eventually meet his future mentor, Debbie Bordner, who became a strong key figure in Lenny's life. So while Lenny was succeeding in the AAU circuit, he was failing in the academic circuit. The next year, he transferred to LaSalle in Manhattan, where his game continued to improve and he would average 30 points and 15 rebounds per game. But Lenny would still struggle academically, and his new mentor, Debbie Bordner, would approach Lenny one day about his grades. She told him, "You need to get your shit together," and oddly enough, Lenny's family was preparing to move to Virginia to escape the hectic Brooklyn life. So Lenny had a tough decision of deciding whether he wanted to move to Virginia in the boonies or move to New Jersey where he could still be close to the city, you know what I'm saying, potentially have a chance to play basketball and get his mind right. So Lenny packed his things up and he moved in with Debbie to Damaris, New Jersey, a upper middle class suburbs in New York. So real quick, I want to play this clip of young Lenny talking about his experience meeting Debbie, living with Debbie. So let's tune in and we'll be right back. Pow!
It's cool to have a nice house, nice cars or whatever, but you gotta also learn how to spend your money wisely. So if I was to go to the league early, I would get her and her husband involved with my money to make sure I know what's going on. as well as myself. I see it as she seen something inside of me. Like, she seen that I could go places. And I couldn't even dribble a basketball then when I first met her. And as I got older, I worked on my game or whatever. Then when that time came, when I had started losing focus or whatever, and I asked her, can I come move with her or whatever, she was like, yeah. And ever since then, my whole life just changed.
So while Lenny was in New Jersey, he was introduced to a better life. His house had swimming pools, 50-inch TVs, real kitchen appliances. Lenny loved New Jersey, and Debbie helped expose him to a whole new life, a whole new way of thinking. And during his junior year, Lenny Cooke averaged an impressive 25 points per game and also 10 rebounds per game, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. And as he continued to ball out, his stock grew higher and higher. And during his time, he would eventually have a chance to develop friendships with guys like Joakim Noah, Raymond Felton, Amari Stoudemire, Carmelo Anthony, and LeBron James. At one point, Lenny was ranked higher than LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony. And Lenny had bands in his pocket, fresh 360 spinning waves. He's laying and spraying grown women at the age of 16. Lenny had a different level of confidence, a different level of cockiness, and that would make him come off as an asshole at times. And I gotta keep it a buck, Lenny would burn a lot of bridges with his arrogant attitude. Let's watch this clip real quick of how Lenny Cooke is trying to son Carmelo. Carmelo's like 15, 16. And for whatever reason, Lenny feels the need to son him in front of Foxy Brown's brother. So let's watch this clip and we'll get back to it. Bow!
Carmelo. You played already? You just played?
Yeah.
How you did?
I feel I had 30.
30? I heard that. That's what's up.
Who y'all play?
You about to play next?
Right here? Who y'all play?
I don't know. I average 34. That's what you got to do.
Who you playing with?
Press stop. Yo, one? Carmelo, this is my music. That's Gavin. That's Foxy brother. Carmelo. Keep it up, son.
I don't know if you do that.
He alright, son. He alright. Bust his ass in ABCD, but he alright.
So as y'all see from the clip, he tried to put him under the wing like he was chicken fried rice. And while Lenny had the same equal God-given talent, Lenny was a cool ass lazy nigga. I ain't gonna hold you. He was cool, he was drippy, he had all the girls, but he was very lazy. So Lenny was one of those players that would love the scrimmage, but he did not like doing suicides. He did not like doing defensive drills. And so while Lenny thought he was the top player in the country, in reality, he really wasn't, because he didn't have the work ethic, he didn't have the motor of LeBron James or Amari Stoudemire. One day he would get exposed, one day there would be a reality check at the ABCD camp, which featured a legendary game where Lenny had to face against LeBron James, and LeBron got with young Lenny, scoring 24 points, bouncing out the gym, and unfortunately, Lenny only had 9 points, and LeBron eventually hit the game-winning shot. And while Lenny's stock dropped at the camp, when he went back to the hood, his stock was higher than ever. At this point, Lenny had all the resources of his rich family, and I'm just gonna assume he had others throwing him money, gifts under the table, you know what I'm saying? I don't got no facts on that, but you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure we can assume that people were throwing him money, throwing him gifts. But Lenny was a solid A1 friend, and anything he got, he would always spoil his brothers, especially Damani. Lenny enjoyed bringing his friends out the hood, but as you know, YouTube, that's a very expensive and costly hobby. They were all wearing the latest drip, all flying private, partying in 21 and over nightclubs, popping bottles. Everything was a movie. At first, Lenny was able to juggle his new crazy rock star lifestyle, but he started skipping school. He would leave New Jersey and go back to the hood, fess it up with his homeboys, laying and spraying everything in their pathway, going crazy, and he started to have several baby mama situations. And it was at this time where he would also start fessing it up with Foxy Brown's brother, that boy, young Gavin, aka the Brooklyn Sniper, because he was sniping everything moving. Yes, Lenny was moving and booming with Gavin and YouTube. Gavin was a wild boy, too many women, too many bottles, too many distractions. Lenny is fessing it up on a whole nother level, partying with Foxy Brown, Jay-Z, Puffy. You know what I'm saying? It got real crazy. And oftentimes, Gavin gets a bad rap for being a distraction in Lenny's life. But I want to play a clip of Gavin trying to give Lenny some game, trying to give him, you know what I'm saying, some knowledge, but Lenny's being stubborn and not wanting to listen. So let's tune into this clip and we'll get right back. Bow!
Oh shit, you can't go nowhere.
Wow.
You have no IDs, brother.
I ain't worried about all that.
How you gonna get on the plane?
I don't never carry ID when I get on the plane.
On what plane you don't carry ID for, Lenny?
No plane, nigga.
Lenny, how you get your ticket?
I always get a ticket when I get on a plane. All the time. I never use the ID to get on the plane.
You're bugging.
Never. Never. From Kennedy, from LaGuardia, when I went to camp, I never used ID to get on a plane.
And you need ID to get on the plane, yo.
Never. Never.
I don't know what plane you been getting on. You been getting on jets all your life, dude.
No, I've been getting on jets all my life, nigga.
You need ID, son.
I'm telling you. Believe me.
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, nigga.
So as y'all see in the clip, Lenny did have good solid homeboys trying to give him advice, trying to give him game, but Lenny's stubbornness was out of control. Lenny was too lit. His last year of high school, he's averaging 31 points, 15 rebounds. What could you tell her? Lenny began to get in arguments with Debbie, even though he would violate her home, bringing over random thotties. And to make matters worse, at this point he's 19, so they said he was too old to play high school basketball and he was forced to quit the team. Lenny became very frustrated and he would begin to argue with Debbie about the house rules. Lenny would eventually leave Debbie's home and live with a basketball trainer in Flint, Michigan, where he would attempt to finish school and prepare for the draft. It was in Michigan where he would meet a shiesty agency called Immortal Entertainment that would corrupt the young Lenny and tempt him with cash advances and the promises of a lottery selection in the upcoming draft. Oddly enough, Mark Cuban was a minority investor in Immortal Entertainment. You know, he had no dealings with Lenny. I don't know what that means, you know what I'm saying? Y'all can put two and two together. But mind you, this is an agency that helped Zach Randolph get drafted by the Trail Blazers. So Lenny thought they were official, even though they were foo-foo. And one night at the Hyatt Hotel on 42nd Street, Lenny claims that him and Damani met up with a shiesty agent who proposed that Lenny enter the draft by signing with their agency in exchange for $350,000 in cash. Yes, cash money placed in young Lenny's hands. But the agency claims they only provided a line of credit for which they gave Lenny a bank card and they loaded up $14,000. So it's hard to know who's telling the truth, but regardless, whatever they gave him, Lenny blew it on oversized NBA jerseys. He blew it on oversized fitteds for him and Damani, and he blew the whole bag. So when the 2001 NBA draft came around, Lenny waited in anticipation, confident that his name would be called in the draft. And after 2 rounds of selections, Lenny realized he was finessed. He was finagled by a shiesty agent who lied to Lenny. And he told him that multiple NBA teams ensured that Lenny would be drafted, but that was all cap, that was all fool. The agent never returned Lenny's calls, and Lenny still to this day has never seen the agent. Depressed and down bad, Lenny pulled up in a Ferrari with his friend at the time, DJ Clue, and they went to an NBA party. They tried to fess it up. They tried to cheer Lenny up. Now, Lenny would keep hooping, playing in various street ball leagues, including the Entertainers Basketball Classic at Rucker Park, where he would play on Fat Joe's Terror Squad team with Stephon Marbury and Ron Artest, and they would eventually beat a Rough Riders team in the championship. After this, he would get a chance to play on the Brooklyn Kings. He played 15 games where he averaged 28 points and 9 rebounds, winning the USBL Rookie of the Year award. Cooke played well enough with the Kings that the Boston Celtics seen him and they invited him to play on their Summer League team for the 2003 Reebok Pro Summer League. Now Cooke, he did have some good games. He balled out for a little bit, but when it was time, there was a game where they faced the Cleveland Cavaliers, and for whatever reason, he must have said something to the coach. He must have pissed somebody off because they sat him on the bench the whole game, and Lenny was never able to get his revenge against LeBron. So it was very unfortunate that Lenny never got his get back. And you know what I'm saying, eventually he would be waived from the team and his basketball opportunities would start going downhill. Now, Lenny played for a team in the Philippines, he played for a team in China where he averaged 28 points and 11 rebounds. But tragically, in December of 2004, Cooke was in a near fatal car accident where, you know what I'm saying, he almost died. They rushed Lenny to the hospital. When he got to the hospital, he was dead on arrival. And, you know, he was in a coma for a short time. He had a broken left shin, a broken femur, and they feared that they would have to amputate his leg. And he was forced to sit in a wheelchair for 2.5 years. So, at this point, Lenny's down bad, you know what I'm saying? He's in a wheelchair. He's pretty much disabled. He starts gaining weight. At this point, he got multiple kids, multiple baby mamas. The NBA is not calling. So the same people that were going to the club with him, they started to ignore his phone calls. They started to, you know what I'm saying, act like they didn't know Lenny. And Lenny, you know, he was going through a depression. And luckily, you know, his friends like Damani and his other friends, you know what I'm saying, they came to Emporia, Virginia, and they got him off the sofa. And they told him that, you know, you got to keep going, you got to keep booming. And so at this point, you know, he's tuned up. He's back on the court. He's still hooping. And, you know, he gets an opportunity to be an assistant coach at Atlantic City High School in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And fortunately for Lenny, this is a good opportunity for him because he has an opportunity to help these kids learn from his mistakes. And, you know, he still has a son that's hooping, you know, carrying on the legacy. He has younger kids. They'll probably, you know, hoop or play some type of sports. But whatever they do, you know, they could learn from their father the fact that, you know, he was fessing it up. He was the man, you know what I'm saying? He was putting on a movie, but he could not balance that in schoolwork. He could not balance that with his basketball life. So, you know, all y'all kids listening, all y'all kids watching, let this be a lesson that, you know, you can't do both. You got to put your heart and your mind into basketball, or you got to put your heart and mind into school, the football, whatever you're doing that's positive, and all the fun shit, all the fessing it up, that will come over time once you get the bag. So I hope y'all enjoyed this story. I got more coming. Shout out my boy Take Notes TV. He's going crazy. Yeah, keep liking, keep subscribing, commenting, join the gang. It's your boy FANGOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOOO